Hello and welcome to the Snickerdoodle Knits channel. I am Jessica and I am the knitter and designer behind Snickerdoodle Knits. In this video, I am going to talk about my Hope Shawl pattern and specifics about it. So I'll talk about the inspiration behind the design, I'll talk about the techniques I used in the design, and I'll talk about yarn you can use for this design. So this shawl, the Hope Shawl, is one of 4 shawl patterns included in my Guiding Principles shawl collection that I released in January of 2020. The idea of the collection as a whole was that they were these characteristics or these principles that are really important for us to keep perspective of in the year. Like throughout the whole year, in order to be successful and to achieve the things that we really want when we think of New Year's Day. Of course, those characteristics extend to the extent of our life. Like these are important characteristics in general. So the 4 characteristics that I chose were hope, trust, patience, and endurance. So of course, this is the Hope Shawl. And it might be pretty self-explanatory, but basically the idea of the shawl is just like to keep perspective of the things that you're hopeful for, like to keep that hope close to you and just like in the back of your mind as you go through life and things get difficult and it's maybe easy to lose perspective. Like keep a hold, keep a grasp on that hope. Because that will get you through those things, and that will allow you to keep those dreams and those aspirations, and will encourage you to keep working to obtain those things. So when I was designing this shawl, I knew that I wanted to call it the Hope Shawl, and I just kind of thought about the emotions that I think of when I think of hope, like just the feelings that I have, and I think of something that's light and joyful and just so happy and bright and freeing. And so what I tried to do with this shawl was create something that was lightweight and that was simple but elegant and flowy, and to me that was hope. That is hope. So this design is a crescent shape shawl, but it has a lot of open lacy texture that just gives that freeing, joyful look. That's just lightweight and kind of bouncy and drapey. So that's the idea behind the Hope Shawl. I guess if there's anything else I can think of, I can write it down below, or I can leave it in the description box. I do have a blog post that's about the whole collection, so I have, of course, descriptions about each of the shawls, so if you're interested in that, I'll leave that blog post linked down below in the description box. So the techniques that I used in this shawl are actually very basic. So not like beginner basic, but like you are very comfortable with how to perform a knit stitch and you're looking to learn how to maybe do a very simple lace, like that kind of basic. It's a very, very simple lace pattern that is repeated over and over again. The whole pattern consists of 2 row repeats. So we have garter and we have that mesh lace. And so if you look at the pattern, it's like super short. That also means that it's extremely easy to customize. So say you want, like you could end the shawl right here if you wanted. You could make this section shorter, you could make the garter longer, you could do so many things to personalize this shawl and make it just what you want. Let's see. So the techniques are simple, and I have a video tutorial linked in the pattern for how to perform the stitches that are required for this mesh lace, simple lace pattern. So I think that you have proper resources to be successful in this pattern. This is a very large crescent shawl. I can show you here. So of course, if you only wanted to knit this with one skein of yarn, that would totally be reasonable. As far as yarn that you could use, what I used is 6 and 7 fiber. So that's a hand dyer in Colorado. I used her barley base, and this is the Morning Glory color. Now, I love 6 and 7 fiber yarn, I love hand dyed yarn, but I do know that most of us can't, including myself, can't afford to knit everything out of hand dyed yarn. So I have provided a blog post specific to the Hope Shawl that gives yarn recommendations. So I have color suggestions to use 6 and 7 fiber, just different colorways that I think would be really beautiful in this shawl. And then I also have, so if you keep scrolling on that same blog post, I also have yarn recommendations. So there's a lot of alternative yarn recommendations that would be more affordable than a hand dyed yarn. That would be great options. So this is just a fingering weight yarn. This is a very squishy, cozy fingering weight yarn. But yes, a fingering weight yarn is all that this requires. So I have yarn recommendations, I have color suggestions, all in that blog post linked down below. So about colors in general, so you can see this is a fairly variegated yarn choice, but I still think it's really, really pretty. I chose this colorway because it's bright and colorful, joyful, and hopeful. So I think a solid, of course, would look stunning. I think using 2 different colors, like doing the lace in one color and the garter in another color, I think that would be really pretty. And yeah, I think pretty much anything would be beautiful in this shawl because the shawl itself is so simple. So tonals, variegated speckles, it would all be really pretty. So I guess as far as a few different ways that I style it, I had it before kind of like, actually just like a scarf. So what I do is I kind of just pull out the bottom part. I don't know if I can do this without a mirror. So something like this, and then it's just kept cozy. And it's a nice big shawl that covers the front, and it's just cozy and warm. Of course, you can also tighten this up a little bit, wear it more like how a lot of people wear their shawls, and then I just wrap my ends in. Straighten out the sides, something like that. I don't know what I actually look like, but anyway, just style it kind of like that. And then of course you can drape it around your shoulders. This is a very long shawl, so you may want to come up with something to do with the ends if you're actually walking around. Of course, if you did a 1 skein version of this shawl, that would be perfect for over the shoulders. Where's my center? Where's my center? So yeah, just over the shoulders. It has this really nice drape. Can tie it, of course, in the front. But yes, lots of different ways you can style it. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it answered any questions that you came with for the Hope Shawl. If you have any further questions, go ahead and leave those down in the comments below and I'll get back to you. If you have any questions while you're working on the pattern, go ahead and message me on my website, send me an email, message me on social media. Social media is probably the slowest way, but I'm on Instagram a lot. So yes, I'm always here for any questions that you have. I hope you found this video helpful, interesting, informative, and if you liked it, I hope you click the like button, give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you're interested in more content like this. I talk about each of my designs in detail, just like I did on this video, and I have technique tutorials that will talk about each of the techniques that I use in my patterns. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you around. Happy knitting!